Good morning, Marshall County. Julie Kwan here. I have the honor of being the chair of the Marshall County Republican Party. And this morning we're talking about local politics. A lot of times we focus on the national politics, which definitely impact us and are incredibly important. And then of course there's state politics. Well, right now we're not even talking about that level. We're talking right here in our own backyard for Lewisburg, and of course Lewisburg being our biggest town in Marshall County, it impacts much of the rest of the county. So, and of course, it's where most of our voters are for Marshall County, just because it's our largest town. And many of us shop here who actually don't live in Lewisburg, but we shop here and we come to the library here and many other things. So, we're going to learn more about local politics right here in Lewisburg and some of the issues they're facing. So if you wouldn't mind, tell us who you are and your elected position, and we'll get talking.
All right. My name's Joe Bradford. I'm the City Council member from Ward 5, which covers pretty much everything west of Highway Quaker Avenue and north of West Commerce. I guess you'd say the northwestern quadrant of the city.
Okay. And there are, so it's Ward 5. How many wards are there?
5.
So there are 5, so that means there's 5 city councilmen. Okay, and then and so you were elected. When were you first elected?
Last year.
Okay, so this is your first term in, and so there's a lot of issues that you saw, and you got motivated to get involved.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The budget issue was the big one that drew me out into this.
To manage our finances, and I know that's one of your big focuses. And so, what are some of the reasons that you see for some of the city's financial issues?
Well, it goes back from what I've seen. It goes all the way back to the early 2000s.
Okay, so it's not just yesterday that it happened. It's
right.
been building in as far as what you see.
Yeah.
Okay.
It goes all the way back to around 2003, in my opinion, with the beginning of the Go Music and More Festival.
Okay.
Which has lost $750,000 all by itself.
That's a lot of money for our little Lewisburg.
It is, and you add that up with the additional $750,000 the golf course has lost since 2013, and that's $1.5 million that we've just seen vanish.
Wow.
And really have nothing to show for it.
Okay. All right, and so what do you think are some options available to the city? And for those watching, you know that I've always taken notes and I read off just to make sure I keep my thoughts straight. And so if you forgive me as I continue, I'm getting better about not writing everything down. But what are some options that are available, in your opinion, to resolve the city's financial issues?
We have, I call it a hump. We have a financial hump that we have to get over every year, where we start off looking pretty good. All the property taxes have come in and things look good, but then as the year goes on, we spend all of that, and we reach a point where we have to borrow money to make ends meet until the next bunch of property taxes start coming in. And so I've looked at options to try to get us over that hump, and some of those options, after looking at it, it wasn't a great idea, but we have to explore everything. We can't be afraid to explore options. I think some folks just are paralyzed and afraid to even look at anything, and we have to see what's available to us other than just saying let's raise taxes. We raised taxes last year. It was very unpopular. Obviously, I was the only no vote in the end. Okay. I'll always be a no vote, by the way. I will not raise taxes here, but I just think it's a lazy response to mismanagement to raise taxes.
Okay. Especially, so it sounds like that you're wanting to see other ways to solve the problems.
Yes.
And then, so once we raised taxes, though, wasn't that going to take care of it so that we didn't have that this year? Or are we looking kind of, despite raising taxes, kind of running into the same issue anyway?
Same thing. There's already been talk of another tax increase being most likely necessary. And
wow. Okay.
Yeah, it leaves me speechless.
Yeah, well, I'm glad we got things written down, because I'm like, wow, okay.
Yeah, to think we would ask the people for another tax increase after they just got hit with one, while we sit on properties that we can liquidate, things we can consolidate and maybe sell off properties such as ballparks. We can try to overhaul the Goat Festival, because there's a lot of resistance to letting it go. I conducted a poll, and even though the majority was in favor of just shutting the thing down, a lot of people want to keep it. So if we could keep it and it not lose money, that would be great.
Well, sure. So you're not anti-goats. You don't mind the
Right.
goats.
I don't have any problem with the goats.
But it's just
whatsoever.
you're wanting to find a way to make it work financially for the town, because it
Yes.
does bring in dollars to the tax base, doesn't it? Is the people come from out of town?
It does, and we have, local craftspeople who set up and sell their crafts there. We've got restaurants and other businesses that benefit from having it. So,
Mhm.
I mean, I don't want to do away with it. It wouldn't make sense if you can have it and not lose any money.
So you're looking for ways to change and maybe save it, but something's got to give. We can't just keep doing the same thing over and over and hoping for different results is what
Right.
you're saying. It sounds like to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want to put words in your mouth. All right, and so what is the conservative revolution you've talked about in Lewisburg? What is that? That's a great tagline, and I like it.
Yeah.
But what does that actually mean? In your, what are you meaning
It's
when
kind
you
of
say
a
that?
state of mind to me. Like we have to get everybody in government, all the way down to the voters and citizens, in this mindset of fiscal conservatism, where you don't just spend, tax and spend some more. Running government, it's not exactly like running a household, but it's in many ways like running a household. If you constantly spend your money, and you spend money without even worrying about where the next batch of money's coming from, you're not going to stay afloat very long. And that's what's happened in Lewisburg over the last 20 years from what I've seen. So we have to take the responsibility that our people are showing in their homes and apply it to government. And to me, that means replacing anybody who has a tax and spend mindset with people who don't.
And you're talking about in the elections, as far as elections go.
Yes.
Okay. And so with the as far as fiscal responsibility, there's a lot of things that are good ideas, and you're saying you're not necessarily against those good ideas or various ideas, but just let's sit down and work out, well, how do we pay for that? And how's that going to work out? And what are some practical solutions?
And analyze everything we are spending on and seeing if we're getting, well, it's kind of like the saying, was the juice worth the squeeze? Are we,
The juice worth the squeeze.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that one before. I like that.
Okay. Yeah, are we getting enough back from what we're spending on to justify the spending? And if we're not, don't be afraid to cut it.
Okay. Well, now so you're wanting not just our elected officials, but the people who live here to think that way, so then that way we communicate to our elected officials and we elect those people who also reflect that. Because, and so what can the people do to help bring fiscal conservatism to government so that we don't keep getting the tax raises and having the financial problems? What can we actually do?
I would say run for office. That's what I did. I got tired of seeing all of this transpire in the city over the last couple decades and said, enough, I'm going to run and see what I can do myself. So if they're of the same mindset, I would encourage them to run for office. If they're not, then identify neighbors who speak strongly fiscal conservative speech, encourage them to run for office. And I just want to get the ball rolling. If it means throwing it on my back and running for mayor myself and finding people to run for council that agree with me, I don't mind doing that either.
Okay.
We have to change the mindset in Lewisburg.
Okay. And so, and you're talking about fiscal conservative, being conservative with our money, and by conservative, you want it to balance the budget. If we are going to spend it, well, where do we have it to spend? And if we don't have it to spend, then we need to make choices. Okay, I see, and you're looking for various solutions. I like that. Okay, speaking of elections, you mentioned making changes to the council to make it more responsive to the will of the people. So how would that? What are your ideas on that one? Are the council meetings open to the public?
They are.
Okay, so we can attend and know for ourselves what's going on and what the issues are. And okay, so that's one. Thank you for answering that question. And so, what other ideas are there on the table?
Well, in terms of attending the meetings, of course, since COVID, we all have to space and everything. So the council chamber, normally we never have enough people come to the meeting to fill it up, which is shameful. But you know, if we do start getting a lot of people interested in coming, they may have to stay outside, like there's a little lobby to the side of the chamber, but you'll be able to hear everything, so.
Now, is that in the annex? Where do y'all meet? Where do we go if we wanted to? I'm sorry, did not know.
City Hall is, do you know where the,
Oh, City Hall, of
Rock
course.
Creek goes?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, so we go to
It's
that
right there.
building right across from the creek.
Mhm.
Okay, on the other side of the bridge from downtown. On the other side. Okay, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. I was just thinking in my mind.
What was
So-
your question?
So to attend is one of the biggest things, is what you're saying as far as getting for the council to be more responsive.
That's part of it.
Okay.
Another thing is, I would actually like to see change to the structure of the voting power of the council members themselves.
Okay.
Well, let me back up a little bit. We know how the Senate and the House of Representatives work at the national level. You have representatives that represent districts, which at this level we have wards. But then we don't really have any overall citywide voice that gets a vote.
Okay.
So what I would like to see is, one, give the mayor a vote, because he is elected citywide,
Right. Okay.
sort of like a senator is elected statewide,
Okay.
and
That
it
makes
gives
sense.
a different perspective. But that would create an even number of votes, which could be problematic.
Right. I was just thinking. Okay, so now we've got 6. We could have 3-3 on issues. I mean, you never
Right.
know. So.
And so I would also like to see an at-large
Oh. Okay.
council member with a vote, and make their office only a 2-year term, because
I see.
councilmen get 4-year terms.
Right. Okay.
But we cycle, 3 councilmen get voted on in 2022, the other 2 in 2024. Make that at-large member get voted on every time, so that,
I see.
yeah, that's.
So that way they're very, just like our congressmen are that much more responsive to us than our senators, because
Right.
they're elected more often and
Yeah,
and
they're
listen.
2
Yeah.
and senators
Right.
are 6,
Well,
yeah.
that makes sense.
So yeah, if that
Okay.
at-large member, they're gonna be very responsive to the will of the people, because every 2 years they're up for re-election again.
All right. Well, I like innovation, and so that's good. I can tell, and I love that, and I hope, and just like you're talking about, I hope more people just are thinking about things, because putting solutions out there, and not just saying, oh, this is awful, or I don't like this, or I don't like that, but you're doing something about it, and you're coming up with solutions. All right. In a survey, now you mentioned about the survey you took. So have you taken more surveys, or did you ask more questions in that one survey?
I did ask, I think, 8 questions. in
Okay,
that survey.
and so there was a lot of proposal. I know that one of that you had a great deal of support for your proposal to encourage investment in the downtown area. Now, how would that work? Tell me about that, or tell
Well,
us all about that.
Okay, we have a beautiful courthouse, and our square, the architecture, also beautiful. But the problem is, it's getting in a state of disrepair. Like on the east side, we've got, I guess you'd call it eave, that it's just a framework of an eave, and there's no canopy over it. On the south side, you got an empty hole where we put a Christmas tree.
Oh,
And,
uh-huh.
Yeah, there's some buildings that are papered up and empty, and there's even parts of the square, I would say it looks like a bomb went off.
Well,
I hate to say that.
Yeah, right across from the annex, right on the square, but off, there's the one that, I think, did it have a fire or something? I don't know, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
but
just
no, I know.
gutted, yeah.
So, okay, and so investment in that area, how would we?
I mean, typically I'm against incentivizing, anything like using public dollars to incentivize private investment, but it's a special case when it's the downtown. It's a historical area. It needs to be beautiful, preserved, and attract people to the city. And we'd have to speak as a council, of course. I hate to even throw numbers out without talking to the others.
Okay, well, just the
But,
basic idea,
yeah,
the
just-
general, what your idea?
General idea would be a tax rebate program,
Okay.
maybe 100-to-1 rebate. If somebody was to, say, invest $100,000 renovating one of the downtown buildings, it might be $1,000 off their city property tax bill. And
Something to help.
yeah,
Yeah.
and incentivize them to do something with it, and let that carry forward up to 5 years. It would be great if they did. If somebody invested $500,000, they could take $5,000 and carry it forward for 5 years off their tax bill.
Well, that sounds like I love that you've got ideas and you're thinking these things. Is there anything else that I haven't thought of that you want to bring to the table that you want to share with voters and with our community?
Well, we've heard the mayor speak a great deal about growth headed our way, and
Yes.
it's obvious that it is. I mean, it's coming south. I even think it's going to start coming from the south, headed north.
From Huntsville up, yeah.
Right. And we're right there in the middle. So one of the thoughts that I've been having about this growth is, if it's coming for us, let's be selective.
Okay.
Because in the past, we've been too eager, I think, to throw pilot and sweetheart deals at anybody who would come here. And we don't have to do that. If we're the desirable one, then let's only make really sweetheart deals to the ones that are going to benefit us and our people the most. You know, businesses that are going to bring satellite businesses with them to augment them. Those are the ones we need to go after.
I see.
Yeah, we don't need to just be throwing tax breaks at anybody who says, I'll come to Lewisburg.
Okay. Well, and I think that you're exactly right. And I've heard of some people, we're some of those, who've moved here from the greater Nashville area because it's Marshall County, we fell in love with it. It's a wonderful place. And I think with the different Space Force things that are happening in Huntsville, and just the growth that we're seeing in all around us, whether it's Murfreesboro, even Shelbyville, Columbia, and then of course Williamson County, Davidson County, Williamson County coming down around 840, and then Chapel Hill, Huntsville coming up. And yeah, I think that I see what you're saying, that we're becoming a desirable. Prices are going up, and it's no longer, hey, will you please come? We'll give you all these things. It's, hey, if you want to be here, let's work this out. And kind of a little bit different mindset than where we were as a county in the past.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
well, I think that's a good insight.
Yeah, we're in the driver's seat on that one, I think.
Yeah, it is shifting over. It's a game changer now. Yeah, we're in demand. Well, I know the property prices have gone up, and so I've seen that happening. And so that's a good pros and cons on just about everything. Well, I am so glad. Is there anything else that you'd like to share while we're talking to our Marshall County voters? Or I think that's a lot of ideas. I can't imagine if you have any more, because there's a lot of innovative ideas, and I appreciate that when individuals get involved and put thought into it, and say, okay, I've been saying we need to do something, so I guess I'm going to get in there and do it. So I think that's awesome.
I guess all I would say is my contact info is on the city website. If anybody has any thoughts, concerns, or ideas, I'm always happy to hear ideas. Sometimes I'll take ideas I've heard and run with them. You know, everything doesn't have to be from me for me to give it merit.
That's good.
And if the people have a good idea and they want to contact me, please do.
Well, and then sometimes the ideas get together and synergize, and it spins up into something even better. So, well, I think that I appreciate you, and thank you for sitting down with us. I know as the Marshall County Republican Party, we want to connect elected officials to voters and voters to elected officials, and know what's going on, just bringing information and bringing people together. And so that's what we've been doing here today, Marshall County, and thank you for joining us. And we will see you soon. We are having our elections at our party elections at our very next meeting. There have been a few bylaws changes. If you would like to run for chair, you do need to let the committee know 7 days in advance is the deadline. And so there's more information. Look for, if you're on our email list, there will be an email coming out with those details, and I should be posting it on our social media, Facebook, very shortly. So be interested in that, and then all the other nominations can be made from the floor. But be there, members vote. Our membership is $10 per year, so it's still very a good deal. The membership, the funds stay in Marshall County, come to us. We don't, a portion of it does not automatically go to the RNC or to the state GOP. The funds stay in our county, except as we vote, such as to give donations to political candidates, so such as we sent donations to President Trump and so forth. So unless it's voted out, your membership stays here to do things such as our scholarships, which our forms are out, and they are at all three Chapel Hill, Marshall County, and Cornersville high schools, and Lewisburg, all three high schools, and so do many things such as that. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us, and thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. I would shake your hand. I still automatically go to think of that. I'm still not used to those things, and maybe very soon we'll have to stop doing those things. Anyway, well, thank you all, and have a good weekend.